Mars. Now, I'm going to kick this one off with one of the biggest problems of this planet. And, that would be the mainly carbon dioxide atmosphere. And it's very, very thin. Like, if you were anorexic and you were also on a diet, that's how thin this is. Now, because it does have an atmosphere, and its two moons are, you know, circling around it, that does kind of solve the problem of comets and meteorites and whatnot, so we don't have to worry about drilling holes into this planet in order to survive on it. I mean, it's still a bigger problem there than it is on Earth, but, it's not nearly as much a problem. However, a big problem is getting to Mars in the first place. Our colonists are going to be exposed to a lot of radiation. And I mean a lot. Like, if you took your cat and then you scanned it 24 times, cat scan? Okay. But anyways, if you took 24 cat scans, then that would be about the equivalent to the amount you're being exposed to while going there alone. And while Mars itself does have some protection against the radiation, it would still be like living in a microwave oven. You're just waiting to get fried. And if you went in unprotected, then yeah, that's very bad. You kind of melt, and not the very nice melting that some people do. Wink, wink. But I mean like melt. You may be thinking, well, if we did the same thing for the moon, we should be good, right? And well, that's not a bad idea. But see, there's a small problem with that. It's called money. It costs a lot of money just to send something to Mars. Like, we're talking billions. Like, if you sent a small fortune to Mars, you'd probably send a drone and nothing else. And we're trying to send people. That's a lot more money. Like, we're talking a small country's worth of money. Alright, so this is something that you're going to need a lot more countries' collaboration with. And well, there is a solution that actually came from the Mars One project. And well, even though that whole project was a total hoax and just completely wrong in like 95% of its scientific ideals, it still gave us a very good idea for what we would need in order to colonize Mars to begin with. And that would be little huts. Like, little pods that you can just live in. And these pods, they basically link together in order to form a small city. They're lightweight, so it's easier to get them off planets, and, well, they can still carry a whole bunch of food, water, air, and whatnot with them to Mars. And, well, you remember that biosphere idea that you heard back in the last video? Well, you can actually carry that over to this. Because, since you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of comets hitting, you don't have to worry about the glass that's going to be smashing into comets and whatnot. But yeah, so basically, you go ahead and you set up these huts, and eventually, when you manage to get enough people on board and really situated and ready to go, you go ahead and send the materials that they need in order to start building their biospheres. Now, while you're at this, you're still going to need things like carbon scrubbers, you're going to need a whole bunch of food in order to make sure they can live long enough. You're going to need tons of water, unless you manage to get them all the way up to the ice caps. And well, if you do that, then you have a whole bunch of water just waiting for them. They just need to melt it. So yeah. So you have water, you have food, you have air, and you are building yourselves up in order to make a biosphere. Now, when you make this biosphere, you're going to notice a couple things. Firstly, you're going to notice that it's going to take a while, like about 20 plus years in order to finish completely. Totally worth it though. And eventually you're going to want to start pulling in some of the carbon dioxide from outside and putting it into the biosphere so the plants can convert it into oxygen, which you'll then expel outside to the planet. This will start the terraforming process, and eventually, when you get plants that are going to be going outside the actual biosphere, you'll have a more habitable Mars. And well, in about 1 century to about a million years time, which, bear in mind, is very short on the cosmic timescale. Like, very short. You'll eventually convert Mars into another Earth because, one, the plants will help to create an oxygen atmosphere, which, always a good thing. And two, the plants actually being there will cause more air pressure around the globe. So eventually you're going to make it so that you can breathe easier and you can actually breathe. Yeah. And well, obviously you can use the plants as food, so there you go. Oh, one more thing about the plants. Since they're there, they're actually drawing in more sunlight and keeping it there longer, so you'll also be warming up the planet to almost match Earth, basically. But yeah, and that's basically how you're going to colonize Mars, and yeah, that's basically it. But why stop here? Why not go even further into this? Why not build a colony in space? And I don't mean like a colony on a planet or on a moon. No, I mean in space. That'll be what the next video is about. Ta!